Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Clements with Light Beer, Dark Money. I just want to tell you a little bit about a new supporter that we have joining us here on the show, and that is Gordon C. James, Public Relations. You know, in business, politics, and public affairs, what you say matters. But knowing how to say it, who needs to hear it, and what to do when the unexpected happens matters even more. For more than 30 years, Gordon C. James Public Relations has helped businesses, organizations, and leaders tell their stories, manage their reputations, and navigate the moments that matter. Media relations, crisis communications, public affairs, strategic messaging. And also, they put on some great events. When your reputation matters, experience matters. Go to Gordon C. James Public Relations and tell them Light Beer and Dark Money sent you.
Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
And I'm Chris Clements. Good day, Sean.
Well, hello.
It is a great
Mr.
day.
Gravelly?
Yeah, I'm a
Gravelly
little
voice?
gravelly.
I mean,
know.
just that intro.
Well, you know what? I was up. Oh my gosh, I was up all hours of the night. You know why?
Why?
There was a big storm that went through Phoenix, and guess who got
guys get
sidetracked? No. My daughter Grace was coming home from visiting friends in Seattle. I get this text at like 10:30 saying, "I'm in Vegas. They rerouted us to Vegas."
Oh, so she couldn't land in
Oh, so
Phoenix.
she couldn't land. And then about 11 o'clock, they took off. Here, I fell asleep on the couch just waiting for the phone call. And I woke up in like sweat, like at 3 o'clock in the morning, just hoping there was a text saying I got home.
And she did.
She did.
Good.
She got home. I don't know how well she was for work this morning.
I
but
got the emergency alert on my phone. We'd put the kids to bed, and we were laying in bed, and then I was like, the emergency alert has changed on my phone. It's now significantly louder.
Oh,
and
the whole
more
house
annoying.
goes off.
It's crazy.
Like my other daughter, Campbell, was in her room and said, "Dad, there's an alert." And I went on, there's a weather app called My Radar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have it? And it gives you the whole picture of what's happening within the valley, all the dust storms and flash flood warnings and everything else throughout the whole state. And sure enough, here comes this big storm coming up from Casa Grande and Maricopa, and it's going to hit Phoenix.
It's funny because I must
and
have
the boobs are coming in from the west.
I must have fallen asleep before it hit because I didn't hear anything. But when I went out this morning, down the street from us, there were a bunch of palm fronds on the street because somebody's palm trees have not been trimmed for a while.
Yeah, that's why it's really important to get all your trees thinned out before the storms hit.
Yes.
Because it can create a bigger mess.
Bigger mess.
Yeah. So just like our, federal government these days, big mess.
Big mess.
Election system, big mess.
Yeah.
By the way, we have a new prop here we want to draw to everybody's attention, to those who are in the viewing audience, and that is the seminal book, How to Win an Election by Stephen Shattuck, the senior.
Yes. Stephen Shattuck was Barry Goldwater's campaign manager in 1952 for his first run for the Senate. We've talked about him many times. We've had both Shattacks, both John Shattuck and Stephen Shattuck, the namesake of Stephen Shattuck.
And we are employing them, please.
Imploring.
We
haven't employed them.
We haven't employed them yet. Although
we
the tables could turn on that one of these days. We are imploring them to rewrite the book with several addendums and update it for the modern audience.
Yes, because it is still the best. I mean, it's like the Bible.
Well, it's not like the Bible.
Yes, it's like the Bible.
But for people
It's
who
timeless.
actually want to win an election, it is an important piece of literature.
I knew I'd get your cankles up.
It's
Cankles.
Yes.
Hackles.
It's not.
What? Hackles. Hackles.
Listen
Wow,
to us today.
we're having some tough time with the language today.
Yes, it is
Okay.
like the Bible. But you know what the Bible does say? That
What does
Jesus was not a socialist.
That's right.
And even several popes have attested to this fact, that this idea that our fair socialist brothers and sisters have about Jesus embodying collectivism.
Yeah.
Versus capitalism is somewhat interesting.
So you sent this clip. Let's watch.
I did.
Let's watch this.
This is from Michael Knowles.
Father, I seem to recall many, many popes saying that socialism is evil, saying that it is a wicked confederacy that seeks to steal the very gospel itself. Even the kind of liberal Pope, John the 23rd, said that a Christian cannot subscribe even to a moderate form of socialism. Were the popes wrong?
No, the popes were right. And why is socialism wrong? Because God created man free. And freedom includes the ability to use your energy and your intelligence to produce gain and benefits. So whether it's farming or writing books or serving at tables, you get paid for that. Whose money is that? It belongs to the person who earns it. Socialism is basically a parody of Christianity. Christianity is based on voluntary charity. When you give money according to your conscience and according, of course, to the message of Christ, which is to take care of the poor. It's not where the government comes in and says, you're evil because you earn too much. We're going to make you good by taking it away.
Such a great point. Such a great point.
It's so simple and yet so difficult for the socialists to understand.
Well,
and the heart of Marxism, let's be clear, is godless.
Well, yeah,
a godless
say,
society.
It's hard for
the
them
God that you need to worship in a Marxist society is the government. It's not the Almighty.
Yeah, it's hard for them to understand because they're not spiritual. They're not Christian.
Well, but so much of this wokeism, Marxism that we're experiencing is this idea that the government is the answer. And the government is there to solve all your problems. The government is there to run your life. And I don't think we've done a good enough job within our educational system to make young people understand that.
Well, I think
because when they talk about socialism as a social construct, it's something that they support, I don't think they know what they're supporting. Same with Islamism.
Yeah, it's clear that people who, I mean, if you live in the United States and you are enjoying any bit of success or comfort, and you claim that you are pro-socialism and anti-capitalism, you have completely missed the point. You do not understand the country in which you live.
Well,
because if the country in which you live had the system that you are saying that you want, you would not have, one, you would not have the ability to say that, and two, you would not have the ability to live a life of any kind of freedom or success.
Well, I mean, take a guy like this clown Hasan Piker that left has embraced, who over the weekend, I guess, he was singing some song about Charlie Kirk and celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, which everyone has found just abhorrent. Because at the end of the day, I digress at this point, but Charlie Kirk was very kind to Hasan, gave him a platform where he, in terms of debating these ideas, where he did not deserve one at all. And if anything, Hasan has been elevated because of Charlie Kirk, even when he was alive. And Hasan, if anybody doesn't know, is from Turkey. He was born in the United States, grew up in Turkey, came back to the United States, wears Gucci watches, has a $200,000 Porsche, and a podcast with millions of listeners that afford him about a $2 million a year salary. So if that isn't capitalism, I don't know what is. Like, what isn't capitalism about? I don't begrudge him for having all those nice things, but then he wants to turn America into a socialist hellhole.
Yeah, it is pretty classic that somebody who has been wildly successful in this capitalist system then turns around and says, "But not for you. It's good enough for me, but not for you."
But the billionaires need a reckoning.
Yeah,
It's amazing. The wealth tax is going to pass in California.
Do you think it's going to pass?
I just have a feeling that all the polling I'm looking at just kind of points in that direction. If it does, ladies and gentlemen, watch out. Those of you who live in Arizona, Texas, Tennessee, batten down the hatches. Here they come.
Yeah. Well, and here's the good news.
And not billionaires, just people who are millionaires. There's not going to be enough money that comes in to solve any of the problems, so they're going to have to go after everybody else.
Yeah, and this is one thing I'll say that. So there's been a lot of people who talk about how Arizona, don't California my Arizona, and when we say those things, we're talking about policy. We're talking about the policies that California follows that we don't want to have here in Arizona. What we're not saying, although some people misunderstand it, is we're not saying don't come here, Californians. We want the Californians who want to get away from the socialism that's happening in California. We want them to come here because we know that they'll vote appropriately. If they're willing to uproot themselves and move out of California, they're committed. They're committed to markets. They're committed to capitalism.
Well, a lot of the socio-economic perspective of what's happening in California now is that there aren't any real the conservatives that were there are leaving at such an advanced clip and advanced numbers that now California is going to become a completely, totally socialist failed state. There's not going to be the tax base to support everything they're going to do. And eventually they're going to be coming to the taxpayers of America to bail out the state.
So what you're saying is that it's going to get so bad in California that the Californians have to go to the federal government with their hand out saying, our policies have bankrupted us and we need your help.
Well, here's a perfect example of that. Over the weekend, it was reported by several different outlets that California has passed this new regulation with regard to tires on vehicles, and that the tires that are on the vehicles today are not acceptable to the California environment come 2033.
What?
Oh, yeah. It makes zero sense.
So what do these tires do?
So I have no idea. They're supposed to be cleaner and better for the environment.
Clean tires.
And I saw a meme with Steve Hilton basically saying, "You mean we're not going to fix the roads, but we're going to make people buy, eco-friendly tires,
which probably are
which exacerbates the problem.
It's going to make it worse. It's going to make it worse.
Yeah. So California is a failing state, and
mess.
it's accelerating in terms of speech, in terms of religion, in terms of immigration, business friendly. I mean, and the California experiment was one of the greatest experiments in capitalism ever.
It was the Golden State.
It was the Golden State.
I mean, and for decades, it was awesome.
Yeah. And then
Not
COVID
lately.
hit.
Yeah.
It was on decline well before that.
Yeah, before that.
But it was undergoing a little bit of a renaissance in the 2000s, the early 2000s. It seemed like they were going to finally figure it out. You had a Republican mayor in Los Angeles. You had different things happening that were just common sense, common sense solutions to public policy issues.
Yeah.
And then it all blew up.
Sad.
Well,
Sad. So you have a quite the diversity.
Well, these are things that kind of popped up over the weekend that I thought were interesting.
Where do you want to start? You want to start here? Do you want to start here?
This is happening right now. So why don't we talk about what's happening in Iran right now?
Okay, hang on. Stand by.
Scott Bessent will be announcing some new sanctions on Iran's economy. Now, this package is designed to completely cut off Iran's enablers and also leave the regime completely isolated.
This as the U.S. works to reestablish the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump says the key shipping lane now belongs to America.
We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. They want to make a deal so badly. We don't even know if we want, because I view the Strait of Hormuz as an American territory right now. It's an American territory.
So, I mean, I have read that basically we are moving stuff through the strait with naval escorts. They have this system in place that was reported on last week. They're doing it on one section of the strait that's protected from the Iranians. But these, if Bessent's new, stuff happens. It goes on offense on the financial side.
As we're recording this, he was undergoing a press conference. That was at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is 10 a.m. our time.
Yeah.
So it was happening. And this has been a kind of a long time coming. They've talked about this since the conflict began. And I hope, there's the term called taco. Trump always chickens out.
Yeah.
This is not something to chicken out on. Like this is a viable response to what is happening within the cabal that is Iran.
Yeah.
The British, the Germans, everything that's happened to allow that economy to prop itself up over so many decades and wage war against its neighbors in the Middle East and also Americans. It needs to be crushed. And if they do a good job in crushing it, hopefully better things will come out of that versus more more death and destruction.
I mean, this needs to get resolved. I still remain supportive of President Trump stopping their development of the nuke, and we need to figure out what is the end result and get there as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. So I hope they go for broke on this. Part of it. I mean, completely break the economic viability of the country.
Well, of the regime.
Of the regime,
and maybe there can be some change.
Hopefully.
It's hard.
It is.
It's hard. Okay.
Yes.
Let's save that for the end.
Okay.
Let's go to this.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a big fan of AI. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
It is amazing. I just did a total, complete blueprint for my next 6 months from a business perspective, all my goals and everything. Threw it into AI, organized it this way. I want to see it this way, graphically do this, make me a table.
That's fantastic.
Literally 30 minutes of all the different platforms that I work with.
Which would have taken you
It would have taken me a month.
A month, okay.
Or something, or at least a couple weeks if I did it by myself. And then I go in, edit it. I love AI.
And the problem, I think, is that the people who are the most concerned about AI, I think, are the ones who are not actually familiar with what it can do to help you become more efficient, to just help you in different ways in your life.
Yeah, the businesses and people who aren't using AI or scared of AI are the ones who are going to be left behind.
They're going to get left behind. Yeah,
and therefore, I mean, I've mentioned to people like, oh, well, did you create this with AI? I'm like, well, yeah, I did, but I wrote it all and I put it all together, but it helped me edit it, and here it is.
Right. Well, and the when you think about where things are headed, just the efficiencies. I mean, right now, for example, there's a lot of data centers being built.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of the computing power that has to be developed, and that's creating more construction jobs than we have people to fill. There's a shortage of construction jobs. There's a shortage of HVAC. There's a shortage of welding. There's all kinds of skilled laborers are in high demand.
Oh yeah.
So you have a chance to make a lot of money. Now, the interesting thing is that data centers have become this flashpoint politically, in that most people are saying, literally, there was a poll that showed that more Americans would rather live next to a nuclear power plant.
I knew you were going to try to say that.
Nuclear power plant than next to a data center.
Yeah, I saw that poll or heard about that poll, and it's just wild. The support for data centers has flipped, and a lot of that has to do with what the Chinese Communist Party is doing in terms of their propaganda in America.
Because they want America to lose.
They want America to lose the AI. Race.
So if
to not build as many data centers as we need to keep up.
And the funding for this anti-data center stuff is coming from the left.
Majority is coming from the left,
which a lot of it's probably coming from China. But we're seeing
some impact on the right too.
Yes, but what's happened is that this is the radical environmentalists are using data centers as their new foothold into stopping development and stopping progress, and they've gotten themselves ingratiated with some right-wing folks who are like, oh, data centers
and
bad.
This actually goes into a big issue I see with the Republican Party and conservatives in general going into this election, is that who is really going to stand up and defend free enterprise? Or are we just going to inch along with what the left wants and have this incrementalism is what it is. It's like, well, we're for data centers, but we're going to do a year moratorium, like the governor of Texas said. But to study the issue. No,
or New York, which
makes
is
no
just
sense.
banned them altogether.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense.
Well, let's see what Trump has to say about this.
Republicans who are running for midterms this year who are starting to come out against AI data centers. Why do you think they're taking a different approach than you are?
Who are they, you know?
The Senate race in Ohio is one example where it's become a very hot topic.
Well, the data center subject to me is a pretty simple one. If you pick the right location, and it's got to be, not every location is perfect for it, but you pick the right location, what it means for a community is jobs and lots of money and lower taxes. And
Boy, he's dead on.
He's absolutely correct. There's a lot of different communities that are using the revenues and the economic growth from these data centers to lower property taxes.
Yeah.
And most data centers now are under an executive order to power their own.
To provide their own power.
Provide their own
water.
power. And also, here's a statistic that I heard this morning. Do you know that the almond farms in California, go back to California, use more water than all the data centers combined?
Yes.
In America. By a vast amount.
The almond farms, the almond groves in California alone, the almond groves in California use more water than every data center in the United States combined.
Like times 10.
It's like not even close.
And they add up all the golf courses in America.
It's
and how
not
much
even
water
close.
they use.
I mean,
it's the whole thing about power and water and everything with the data centers. It's minuscule when consider how much is used in other activities.
The water is the one that's the most minuscule because it is literally less than 1% of all of water use in the country.
Yeah.
Just bonkers. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's less than 1% of the agricultural use of water in our country.
Well, the Republican candidate running for governor in Wisconsin, he's running against data centers.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense to me. I'm like, you're in frickin' Wisconsin. You got more land than you know what to do with.
I mean, there's and think about places
and more water.
Yeah. Yeah. Come the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
I mean, just line them up, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely beautify them.
Wild.
You can beautify data centers like you do, cell towers.
Yeah. Yes.
Lots of greenery.
Yes, that works.
What is that over there? Well, it looks like a hedge. No, it's a data center.
Okay, so speaking of data centers, this
speaking of
this
large,
is a large building,
large buildings that people are against for whatever reason.
Is close to the action where some of the finest racing cars in the world being tuned up and readied for their drivers. Hey, Lucas.
Hey, Shannon, we're here in the paddock where IndyCar teams are preparing for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to race through the streets of the nation's capital. And this one counts. This is no exhibition.
So I thought this was the ballroom.
I thought so too. What happened to it?
I don't know. Anyway, we were going to talk about...
we weren't talking about the Grand Prix, which I guess was something else.
Well, was the Grand Prix or was it IndyCar?
It was the Celebrate 250 IndyCar race in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. It wasn't F1.
No.
Know the difference.
Sorry, I don't know the difference.
Know the difference because that's a big deal.
I don't know the difference. But anyway, the Supreme Court over the weekend, late last week, gave the green light to President Trump to build the ballroom. Oh, no. My mother-in-law's head exploded.
Oh, really? Well,
there's so many DC people who just think it's like this albatross, and it's so needed.
It is so needed. I mean, it's been needed since we renovated the White House during Calvin Coolidge's presidency.
Harry Truman.
Yeah,
Harry Truman took the White House down to the studs.
Right.
There was nothing in the White House. I saw this graphic over the weekend. It was online or whatever, that his daughter was practicing the piano and the piano leg fell through the floor.
Oh gosh!
And then they ripped up the floorboards and they realized that the entire White House was put together by twigs and stilts. And they took down the entire interior of the White House, ladies and gentlemen. This is in like the 1940s, 50s. And for 8 months, there was no White House. There was the exterior, and that was it.
Yeah.
So imagine that.
Yeah.
And then they rebuilt the entire thing with steel and concrete.
And they needed, but they still didn't make a room big enough to have, big state dinners and that kind of thing.
Only if you want tents with mud,
which is stupid.
out on the grass.
Yeah,
it's the craziest thing in the world, and people are defending that.
Yeah.
Now, the ballroom is absolutely one of the most brilliant things this president has done. 100% supportive of it.
Yeah. So this next one. So this is
something that
now is this the case in which the woman strangled her 3 kids.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So this is very interesting how the social contagion takes root. And you have this this woman, Lindsay Clancy, who was under a host of different drugs.
Yeah,
for sure.
She's on a lot of medication.
But told her husband to go out for an errand and then systematically strangled her 3 kids. And now there's all these women, doing these anger videos and all this solidarity with her and her psychosis.
Yeah.
And it's
there's
bizarre.
a lot claiming that the husband did it or that that the
no
girlfriend
evidence of
did
that.
it. And
No, she did it. She admitted it. She threw herself out the window. Now she's a paraplegic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she can't walk.
She paralyzed herself?
Yeah, she paralyzed herself.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. That's awful.
So it's not even a question of whether or not she'll go to jail, or she might be admitted to a psych ward for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
But it's just this social contagion that has taken over that makes very little sense.
All right, let's listen in on this.
Rare and serious condition in the spotlight, postpartum psychosis, can cause a sudden break from reality, but former prosecutor Josh Ritter points to what Clancy's medical records do not show.
She was talking to several different psychiatrists and telling them everything that she was experiencing: insomnia, anxiety, depression. She kept a journal of what she was doing and the medications that she was taking and how she was feeling. Nowhere in any of this does she ever mention hearing voices telling her to harm the children. And in fact, the only time that she said she had any kind of impulse or intrusive thought about harming the children, the only time that we ever hear that is after the murders have taken place. And she says that command only took place on that one time.
Fox News senior medical analyst Dr. Mark Siegel joins me now to talk about this. Doctor, thank you very much for joining us. It's a very tough topic. It's been a tough trial, a difficult one to watch. Your thoughts? Josh Ritter sort of laid one of the great points that the prosecution makes in this case, that she didn't claim to have heard a voice, a male voice, loud and commanding, telling her to kill the children and herself, where she doesn't mention these voices until after the act is completed. When we talk about psychosis, postpartum psychosis, it's very rare. We have a chart here kind of showing that. But your thoughts on the timing of this, if that's possible, what are you thinking?
Well, Molly, one of the things that's on trial here is the healthcare system and the doctors that took care of her. Dr. Jennifer Tufts had just recently graduated from Boston University's psychiatry program, and she saw her 14 times in televisits. And expert medical critics are saying, well, why didn't you see her in person? 14 times in televisits, 17 minutes or more. She didn't during any of those, and the prosecution is using Jennifer Tufts as a witness. She didn't during any of those talk about homicidal ideation, show evident signs of psychosis, but you might not show physical signs of psychosis. She did, show despair, hopelessness, severe depression and anxiety. And a lot of psychiatrists have told me that you really need a deep dive to figure out sometimes if somebody is psychotic or not.
It's just a
horrible.
terrible. I mean, look, the postpartum depression, anxiety, it's real. It's real stuff.
We've experienced it, obviously. I don't know if you. I mean, we have not personally, but we've been.
Obviously, we don't. But
obviously, our wives.
Yeah.
With Preston, it was pronounced. It was a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's happened. It happens. It probably to some degree or another probably happens to everyone.
Yeah.
I would assume. And it is one of those things that I think, unfortunately, is under talked about. It's not talked about enough. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because women. I just don't know. But I hope that women feel confident enough in who they're with, or they have the courage to talk about it, and know that this stuff can be taken care of. I mean, it's everyone needs that. Everyone needs a support system, and particularly new moms. And it doesn't even have to be the first. I mean, it's rarely is it as. I mean, I think sometimes, at least my experience, not my experience, but what I have seen with people I'm close to, whether it's my wife, my ex-wife, or my siblings or cousins, is that it doesn't necessarily happen on the first child, but certainly can happen after in subsequent children.
Yeah, so much of what you go through, especially with the first child, is this newness, all these different things are happening at once, and then there's all these hormonal things happening as well. I remember we had some issues with Preston's health at first, and we weren't getting any sleep, and we were just and a lot of that stress was, of course, on my wife. And we went and saw a doula to kind of help us through some of this stuff. And the first thing she said is like, to my wife, you need to get some rest and let me take some of this from here. Because so much of what we were doing was kind of extreme. And there's a lot of those type of stories. And my heart goes out, to this woman as a Jesus follower. I can't imagine what type of mental break would cause you to kill your own children. At the same time, she's going to jail.
Yeah, or at least a hospital. I don't know whether they'll find her, mentally incapable of being held responsible or whatever. But there was definitely to be on that many different medications. It was a bunch. There's definitely a failure in the system, as this guy pointed out, and maybe she was doctor shopping or whatever.
It seems like there was a lot of that going on. With the amount of medications that she was switching on to, from what I've read.
What's strange to me is how, like you said, what you're calling a social contagion, this group of people who are out there, purportedly showing support, but really trying to essentially say she doesn't have any responsibility at all.
Yeah.
And that's not completely true.
Nope. That's absolutely not true.
And, I think that, my heart goes out to the father, but, what was he doing that was help? This isn't just her, right? I mean, this is a family. There needs to be something. He had to have seen some signs.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I am literally speaking with zero exposure at all to this case, so I have no idea other than
whatever signs they were. I don't think they were ever of the inkling or idea that she would actually harm her children. Yeah. Or else, if he were a responsible father, he would take the children. He would leave.
You would get them out of harm's way.
Yes, he would leave.
So,
if there were any indications of that,
the upshot of this, ladies and gentlemen, is if you need help, seek help.
Absolutely.
And if no one else, and I'm not kidding when I say this, if you don't feel like there's anybody that will help you, then reach out to us because we will help you find someone.
That's because we're a podcast about faith, freedom, free enterprise, founding principles of our fair republic.
And we love our listeners.
We do love our listeners. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless you.
Have a good one. Thanks, folks.